The Chris Tucker that we got now is Epstein Island Chris Tucker, not Smokey.
The Chris exhaust that we got now is Epstein Island Chris exhaust, not Smokey. You realize Jeffrey Epstein, didn't you? No, I did. Chris exhaust has been stowing away from the business elites in the shadows, yet Feline Williams as of late stirred up his reality in a viral meeting the Friday after. Next Star didn't avoid uncovering the genuine nature of the satire business, and among a few other recognizable names, Chris Exhaust likewise wound up in the crossfire corresponding to a few obscure exorcisms. ISIS, as per Feline Exhaust, is among the individuals who dared to Epstein's Island once upon a time, while Exhaust might have seen hobnobbing with the Hollywood tip-top as a stepping stool to progress years after the fact. Apparently this affiliation prompted an untimely death of his once prospering profession. Feline proposes that influential people requested that Chris move away from acting due to his connections to Epstein and his island ventures. Chris was permitted to pursue the choice. The hypothesis and tattle encompassing Exhaust's takeoff from the 10,000-foot view and Hollywood's supposed endeavors to gag him have blended interest, and presently the entertainer himself tended to the murmurs regarding his rest and what constrained him to stop acting in spite of the promising beginning. Everything went to the surface thanks to Feline's strong meeting, where he was projecting a focus on key part in Hollywood and mixing more show about the mysteries that had been recently covered in secret. Talking about the shortfall of another Friday film, Feline, alongside web recording host Shannon Sharp, dug into why Chris Exhaust didn't return for the spin-off in 2000, regardless of fans enthusiastically expecting his retaliation, as Smokey their wait was to no end. Feline unobtrusively suggested that Exhaust's dynamic wasn't completely deliberate, alluding to outer impacts he comprehended that he needed, that he courted, that Feline fights that the Chris Exhaust we see today isn't equivalent to the person who depicted the fans' most loved character in the clique exemplary, and he alluded to the entertainer and jokester in rather a strange manner. And the Chris Exhaust that we got now is Eaton Island Chris Exhaust, not Smokey as Cat would see it. Hollywood hushed Chris for his island association, and insiders are saying that the entertainer himself confirmed these cases. As you most likely are aware, Jeffrey Epstein's case managed a huge disaster for the Hollywood, with first class in the 21 stunt. Yuri, the conspicuous American money year captured in July 2019 for his violations, confronted a puzzling end a month after the fact in his prison cell, in spite of the authority dissection report expressing that Epstein ended his own life. The reverberations of his wrongdoings keep on resonating in the present. Title's disclosures about his associates paint one more picture in Hollywood, and it appears as though elites are attempting to filter their rows by disposing of each and every individual who as at any point associated with this man. The names of in excess of 170 partners of Jeffrey Epstein will be uncovered in about 14 days' time. Chris Exhaust, the humorist, winds up snared in Epstein's trap of relationship. In 2002, Exhaust imparted Epstein's confidential plane to previous President Bill Clinton and entertainer Kevin Spy on a superficial level. Their get-together was outlined as a philanthropic mission, 7 days in length visit through Help Project Locays in South Africa under the Clinton establishment. When gotten some information about the island, the entertainer addressed, "No, I don't have the foggiest idea where that thing that we were going to Africa to save resides anyway." Fans couldn't resist the opportunity to scrutinize the unconventional coalition. It just felt so off that Chris, Clinton, and Spacey, who hailed from disparate universes, wound up on the very plane together. Met him on that trip, 'cause it was his plane. I didn't have any idea who plane we was getting on yet. It was an entire bundle of dignitary individuals lose with a designation. Yet here's the association you generally expected to hear. Kevin Spacey, once celebrated as an entertainer, confronted a destruction in 2017 when Anthony Rapp blamed him for wrongdoing. Consequently, 15 additional people approached with comparable charges. Bill Clinton then again conveyed his own things of allegations in regards to unfortunate behavior by a few ladies. Normally, fans brought up various issues about Exhaust's presence on that plane. The busy time entertainer tended to these worries in a 2021 meeting with All Metropolitan Focal. As per him, he had no information that he was on EPE's confidential plane. Well, that was a humanitarian excursion to Africa, and I met him on that trip since it was his plane. I didn't have any idea who plane we was getting on. When straightforwardly interrogated concerning his visits to Epstein's island, Chris Exhaust fervently prevented any contribution given the gravity from getting Jeffy. Epstein's allegations. A few fans are dubious of Chris's inclusion for this situation, contemplating whether there's more than he was able to concede. As one individual remarked, "This is certainly not a decent search for Chris. The vast majority knew whether they got on that plane. What was the deal with Jay? The situation should be researched." And another client added, "And wholly unusual, you don't rise to the level where you make $20 and $25 million for every task except if you play the game. It is absolute lie impossible that he arrived at that point in any case." Now it seems as though Chris is taking care of his insight, and his once encouraging vocation and film possibilities have evaporated immediately. And inexplicably, there's conviction that Exhaust fell one more survivor of the savage business, who fundamentally advised him to pick either his profession and life. And we resembled man. This is horrible, man. We landed to find one more position building the questions. Disclosures about the Boeing 727 that Exhaust loaded up shed light on its vile moniker, the Lolita Express, and they came from the valid source, Epstein's ex-pilot, who named Chris Exhaust as his traveler. Among other unmistakable names in the film business, the pilot Larry Vozy affirmed during the continuous preliminary of Epstein's partner Maxwell, enumerating the arrangement's regular use to ship high-profile clients and their casualties to Epstein's properties. Chris Exhaust's name was among those referenced by VY as a traveler on the scandalous flight. Additional proof arose with the arrival of court records divulging the names of north of 150 high-profile clients and VIPs who visited Epstein's island, and the reports name in excess of 150 individuals, including scores of conspicuous figures associated with or referenced in legal procedures. Virginia Jeffrey, one of Epstein's noticeable informers, had held these names under seal for a really long time. In spite of certain redactions, the reports unveiled figures like Leonardo DiCaprio, Bruce Willis, Michael Jackson, Kate Blanchett, and remarkably Chris Exhaust. Chris, relentless in keeping up with that he never set foot on the Taurus Island, faces a mounting tide of proof recommending in any case, yet a simple look at Chris Exhaust's profession and the way in which it unexpectedly failed around the time he was making that flight uncovers a perceptible deviation from the direction it once guaranteed. The zenith of Exhaust's prosperity showed up when he collaborated with Jackie Sean in the worldwide hit Busy Time, procuring $2 million for his job as late investigator Carter. Got no better food, like a few chicken wings, some child back ribs, a few fries, or something. Ensuing continuations, Busy Time 2 and 3 earned him $20 million and $25 million separately, laying out him as one of Hollywood's most generously compensated entertainers with newly discovered achievement. Exhaust appeared to be ready for a flourishing vocation in the business, yet he chose to step back in his authentic meeting. The entertainer referred to a need to enjoy some time off from acting. He expressed that, regardless of his craving to continue on, there was something he didn't have control of. "So I ventured back, carried on with somewhat ventured to the far corners of the planet, and did a ton of compassionate stuff that truly widened my point of view of the world." Clearly, notwithstanding fans' assumptions, Chris Exhaust was managing something other than finding a thrilling job that will challenge him, and the secret conditions entered the stage and made his profession veered off in a strange direction. Now, with all the evil being uncovered, the entertainer desires to return to what has been taken from him and make more significant activities. "I most certainly believe that should do a book. I most certainly believe that should do a film," and keeping in mind that he was constrained out of acting, Chris has truly missed a ton, and the jobs that should be his were given to different entertainers doing continuations. "I generally needed to work effectively and continue to move to the following film, while it's estimated that Exhaust turned down eminent jobs all alone. Evidently, he laments every one of the mishaps due to the business's games. For example, he was considered for the job of YB in the 1999 movie Any Given Sunday. However, the part at last went to Jamie Fall. Chris was dismissing an endless series of good jobs, finding various reasons for his choice as ice block